For Roberta, it was just another Monday. Plates clanked and cups clinked as she gathered the dirty scraps together for cleaning and disposal. She flitted from table to table, clearing their services just as quickly as they could be filled by new, hungry bodies. The din of noise in the restaurant itself was just loud enough for it to be difficult to hear the antique Terran jukebox in the corner. But that wasn't an issue for Roberta. She'd worked at Delta 5's Waffle House number 14 for the past 20 years. She had every song on the machine memorized. She hummed as she swept across the dining floor. Her movements looked less like mechanical work duties and more like a blue-collar waltz. Her apron swished around her like a ball gown, and her smile was just as dazzling as any upper-class galactic debutante. A chime floated over the roar of conversation and percussion of dishes. "Welcome to Waffle House, honey," Roberta called out, glancing at the newcomer. It was one of the more recent regulars, a new military recruit named Enoch. He took a seat at a freshly cleaned table and began looking over the menu. Roberta dropped a plate off at another table with a wink and a smile, then strolled over to Enoch. When she reached the table, the boy looked up and gave a nod of recognition. "Morning, sugar. What can I get you?" Enoch glanced at the menu for a moment longer, then pushed it away. "I'll just take a coffee, please. I'm not sure I can eat right now." "Not eat? You okay, honey? A grown boy like you needs to eat, and eat well." She paused a moment to give the young man a once-over. "I swear, child, do they not feed y'all at that base? You're nothing but skin and bones." Roberta shook her head and tutted. "You let your Auntie Roberta know exactly who's in charge of feeding you boys over there, and I'll give 'em a good old talking to. They'll be giving you all steaks and potatoes before long." Enoch looked up at Roberta and smiled weakly. "It's okay, Miss Roberta. The food is fine. I'm just not feeling too hungry today." Something in Enoch's tone signaled danger to Roberta's maternal senses. Her smile melted into a frown, her head tilting in suspicion. She laid down her order pad and took the seat across from Enoch. "Is everything okay, darling? You don't seem your usual chipper self." Enoch pursed his lips and sighed. "No, everything is fine, just tired." "Don't you give me that just tired mess, boy," Roberta snapped. "I've raised enough kids to know when something is wrong with one of them. You ain't no exception, even if you ain't mine." The young man's expression softened, and a look of worry creeped into his eyes. He passed a hand over his forehead, trying to work the tension out of his mind. After a deep inhale, he spoke. "There's trouble brewing, Miss Roberta," he began. "The deprived have been rearing their ugly heads, and there have been threats of violence from them against the locals. They've not done anything, but I'm worried that they will. The deprived haven't exactly been known for their peacekeeping or civility." Roberta smiled. "Oh, honey, don't pay them ragamuffins no mind, you hear? They won't do anything that we can't handle here." Enoch frowned, his brow furrowing. "But, Miss Roberta, I'm talking about the deprived. You know, the big, scaly lugs with knives and clubs and wet cardboard for brains." A pearl of laughter rang out from Roberta's lips. "Child, I know who you're talking about. They ain't done nothing we haven't dealt with before. We'll be fine." The young man's mouth hung open slightly, stunned at the woman's words. She smiled and shook her head, looking into Enoch's eyes. "Listen, hon, there's a long tradition among Waffle Houses to be able to withstand anything that the universe throws at it, stemming all the way from the first houses on Terra in the Sol system. You follow me?" Enoch nodded, and Roberta continued. "Hurricanes, typhoons, sandstorms, and even meteor strikes haven't been able to shut us down, nor any of our neighbors. There's a reason why it's a big deal if we close. That means that the world has truly gone to hell in a handbasket." "But, Miss Roberta," Enoch interrupted, "those are all just natural disasters. They're bad, yeah, but the deprived are coming here with weapons, not rain." Roberta laughed again and stood up. "Come with me, child." Enoch rose, and Roberta led him down a small hallway sectioned off from the dining area. They passed several doors before coming to a stop in front of the last one in the corridor. You really want to know why I'm not worried, sugar? Enoch glanced from the door to Roberta's aged face, not responding. After a few moments, he nodded. Roberta pulled out a black key and slipped it into the lock, then opened the door. Revealed to Enoch was a storage closet filled to the brim with weapons, ranging all the way from plasma grenades to laser rifles. Suits of exo-armor hung on the walls, and tactical boots lined the floor below the suits. Boxes of varying ammunition types sat on the shelves next to the armor, as well as blocks of explosives and communications devices. Enoch glanced at the opposite wall. An old portrait of a man and a woman in military fatigues was pinned to it. They smiled at the camera, and Enoch felt a glimmer of recognition at the woman's face. Miss Roberta, is this you? Roberta nodded. Surely is, child. Enoch's eyes swept over the contents of the room once more, his jaw dropping lower with every second. Roberta watched the young man's face and chuckled. You see now why we never close?